Hello and welcome to Chat ENG. My reaction to a very poor England performance and a draw against Denmark. Is history repeating itself, um, as is so often the case with England, but more recent history repeating itself against Scotland in the second game of the Euros after winning the first one? We didn't just draw, we absolutely stunk the place out. In the World Cup last time out, we won the first game, and then in the second game against the USA, we didn't just draw, we stunk the place out. And in this competition, after a narrow, underwhelming win on Sunday night, we've drew, but we haven't just drawn. We've stunk the place out. To put a positive spin on it, it seems that England under Southgate in group games, when we do stink the place out, we still get something out of it at least. But today was just terrible. There was elementary mistakes being made by seasoned professionals, Kyle Walker, Declan Rice, who just doesn't, getting caught on the ball, giving the ball away, making crazy choices of passes, really, really basic mistakes. And that was from early on in the game all the way through the game. And you can look at the pitch forevermore. Denmark weren't doing that, certainly not to the degree that England were doing it. I thought Trent Alexander-Arnold was absolutely awful, really, really, really bad. Bar two or three decent quarterback passes, which kind of got us, at least turned their defence the wrong way, which I'm going to come back to in a minute. Saka probably was the one that played pretty well, at least had something about him, dribbled, went with intent at people, but whew, overall it was difficult to watch. This tournament's going to go one or two ways. It's going to be one where we're going to we'll have some catastrophic performance and result where we go out, hopefully not next, but in the first knockout round, because maybe it's just that this is the end of the road for Southgate, and not in a good way, not in a way where he goes out in a blaze of glory, but maybe it's just done. Or we're working our way into the tournament and still finding our feet is the more positive angle that I could go down. And we can try and convince ourselves of that, but it's very difficult when you just watched such a low standard performance. The people that are critical of Gareth Southgate sort of talk about him being too defensive, and particularly when we go in front in a game, he will set his team up to try and defend, and they retreat back, and we don't ever take advantage of a positive position. Invariably, we lose that positive position, and we either draw or lose the game. And listen, I'm someone who's been an advocate of Southgate because of what he's done for England over the last few years, but I can't argue with that, those things that are aimed at him above on. However, I don't get too wound up about that because I just think that's him. As a manager, that's what he's like. And for me personally, and I'm not going to go into justifying why, maybe on another day I will, I think he's brought more positives in terms of as the whole setup with England, and he's achieved more positives than negatives. So for me, I weigh that up and say, okay, I accept that's the way he is. My beef with him is his inability to be flexible and to maybe be a little bit braver and change things quicker. And just to think outside the box a little bit. If you're going to play 4-2-3-1 with Harry Kane up top, you have to have a manager that can construct a team that's going to be able to create a lot of chances, because Kane is a penalty area striker. Doesn't take players on, doesn't score 20-yard screamers, invariably anyway. He scores in and around the box. Now, the way we play, the only way we're going to create chances for Kane are by getting it out wide and putting it in the box. If we look at the time that Kane was on the pitch over this game and on Sunday night, how many chances have we created? 3. And they were. Saka runs down the right, crosses it in, Bellingham scores. Bowen runs down the right, crosses it in, Kane hits the bar. That's on Sunday night. Today, Walker wins a 30-70 in the defender's favour on the right-hand side again. And even that wasn't a clean-cut pass. Even that was sloppy, and it comes to Kane, and he scores. So the only way we're creating chances is by getting overloads down the right hand side, or bits of skill down the right hand side and getting a ball in. Are Germany going to let us do that? Are France going to let us do that? They'll just double up on Saka. They'll just stop it at source. You have to have more variety to your game than that. The only other way we're going to score is by an individual moment of brilliance from someone like Foden, who hit the post today, or Bellingham. So Kane scored today with the one chance that we created, because there's one thing you can't doubt about him is that he's prolific when he gets chances. But we're so easy to play against. Everything's in front of the defence. Denmark didn't even particularly sit deep today and try and defend against us because they didn't have to. So Serbia didn't do it the other day. So we've actually got a chance on Sunday and today to play against teams that have been relatively open against us. But Kane comes so deep that there's no one's turning the defence. No one's taking defenders where they don't want to go. No one's stretching the defence. So I said before the tournament, my team would be a 4-3-3 team. And then if Kane comes deep, you need two inverted wingers who almost become strikers, so that if Kane comes deep and brings a defender with him, or even if he doesn't bring a defender with him, you've got obviously the midfielders then can ping one over, and you've got players running in behind. You have to have some pace in and around the central area, and we haven't got any because Kane just occupies that area. I'm not being critical of him; it's his game. He's not quick, doesn't take players on, doesn't turn defenders. So if he plays, he has to have pace around him, and he has to have people running beyond him, and that's not the way he set the team up. So you either play Kane and do that with the 4-3-3, or you play Ollie Watkins, because we saw straight away he will stretch the defence, he will run in behind, and that creates space then for the likes of Bellingham, Foden, Saka, etc. But I don't think Southgate will do that, and I think we're so predictable and easy to play against. This nonsense that England have a world-class attack, and maybe on paper with the names we have, potentially we have, but the way it's formulated, as I said the other day, you've got to get those cogs working together, and it doesn't. The way it's set up, it doesn't work at all. So it's lack of imagination, in my opinion, from the manager. It's not just being pragmatic, it's lack of imagination. You're going to think I'm biased because I support Man United, but I can't believe Kobbie Mainoo's not played more. If he brought Gallagher on to give more energy, what you lose then is Trent. You're not losing anything because Trent's passing today was dreadful, bar 2 or 3 passes, as I said. But Gallagher's not a great passer of the ball. Mainoo will give you energy. He'll run around. He'll work hard. He'll be strong. He'll put his foot in. He'll be disciplined. But his passing range is really good, and he'll take you further up the field with dribbles and stuff like that. But obviously, that wasn't what Southgate thought was the best thing to do today. So, before the tournament, I thought we'll beat Serbia, we'll draw against Denmark, and we'll beat Slovenia. And I think that's what's going to happen. So the draw's not a surprise. Denmark got to the semi-finals of the Euros 3 years ago against us. Took us to extra time. They're a good team. They're a decent team. But it's not the fact we've drawn, it's the way we've played. And actually, I think a draw is... We've swam the channel getting a draw because we were bloody awful today. We really were. A tournament needs a catalyst performance. In Euro 96, it was the second half against Scotland and then the game against Holland. Now, I don't think for a second Southgate's brave enough to take advantage of the fact that we're playing a poor team really in Slovenia, and we need to get something out of it, so we can't just make loads of changes. That could be a pop moment. That could be the moment when it pops and we go, right, boom, we're in the tournament now. It's set up for it. And then we win the group. We go into the knockouts on a high. There's energy in people's legs, etc. It's set up for it. But I've seen nothing in these last 2 games to suggest it's going to happen. we're in a really good position. Let's face it, we are. 4 points from the first couple of games, and a game against a team that we should comfortably beat. So that's great. But I can already predict the absolute outpouring and disgust that's going to be around in the next few days at that performance. And it's not what's needed. We need positivity, we need togetherness, but that performance just doesn't provoke that, does it? So quite flat really after that game, and although we're in a very strong position, I don't think it bodes well for the rest of the tournament. So I'm still going to have a video on a high, and I'm still going to say it, although it's with a bit less belief than last time. It's coming home. It's coming home.